My brother was a good-for-nothing blondie. That day, I texted him, "Bro, wanna grab dinner tonight?" He replied in his signature bubble voice, "Which little sister is this?" Just how many little sisters do you have? My brother and I are fraternal twins. When we were 7, our parents' marriage collapsed to the point they'd never speak again. Mother took me, while father retained custody of my brother. 10 years later, with mother's career thriving, I transfer back to my hometown high school for the college entrance exam. Longing to see her son after a decade, mother finally tracked him down through persistent inquiries. She shared his contact with me, hoping we'd reconnect as siblings. Learning we attended the same high school, I eagerly added his WeChat, only for the morning request to be approved in the afternoon. I immediately messaged, "Bro, wanna grab dinner tonight?" Those siblings, a decade apart, demanded gradual reconnection. We'd been close as children. When mother took me away, all 3 of us had wept uncontrollably. My brother even vowed to earn money to support me, begging our parents not to separate us. After all these years, I wonder how he looked now. We'd resembled each other as kids. The chat window lit up with his voice message reply. I clicked open the message and was greeted by an exaggerated bubble voice. "Which little sister of mine is this?" Just how many little sisters do you have? I fell into deep thought. Had my father secretly fathered other daughters all these years? Before I could reply, another notification popped up. A location pin, followed by a voice message. "If you want to treat your big brother to dinner, come find me here." I checked the pin. It was right near campus. Hearing Leo Evans' voice after a decade apart left me strangely disoriented. It felt unfamiliar, as if his entire personality had undergone some dramatic metamorphosis. Following my brother's coordinates during after-school hours, the path grew increasingly secluded. At a street corner, 2 boys in identical uniforms brushed past me. Their laughter carried snippets of conversation. Brother Leo went to corner that bastard Ethan Carter. That nerd acts all high and mighty just because he aces exams. Even blew off our school bell when she confessed she was crying rivers. So Leo's gonna teach him some manners. If Ethan Carter even rejected Jessica Cole, what kind of standards does that guy have? Who knows? Top students only see textbooks. Our Belle must be blind to fall for that study drone. Brother Leo's way cooler. When she got rejected, he adopted her as his sister instead, always showering her with gifts. If I were her, I'd say yes in a heartbeat. Keep dreaming those spring and autumn fantasies. As I passed by, I caught snippets of gossip that made my lips twitch. Adopted brother, my foot. This was clearly a case of pathetic simping. I kept walking while texting my brother. "Hey, I'm almost there. Where are you?" Suddenly, a voice reached my ears. "Ethan Carter, I'm heading off first. You should go home soon too." The name rang a faint bell. I'd heard it just minutes ago. Instinctively, I glanced up. At the crossroads, the boy who just said goodbye pedaled away on his bike, leaving behind another student in uniform, casually slinging his backpack over one shoulder as he walked unhurriedly. Seemed we were headed the same way. He sported a stylish 2-block haircut, with sharp features and an immaculate uniform that made him look like he'd stepped out of a different dimension compared to everyone else. The kind of face that commanded attention at first glance. Just above average grades? Pretty sure the school bell had more than academics in mind. I admit, humans are visual creatures. The moment I got a proper look at this guy, my internal scales tipped irrevocably. Watching a beautiful youth about to be waylaid by some no-name bully? How could anyone just stand by? After waffling for minutes, I quickened my pace to catch up. "Ethan," I called out. He stopped and turned, eyes unreadable. Realizing he genuinely didn't know me, he waited patiently for me to continue. "I overheard someone planning to ambush you. Maybe take a different route?" I offered earnestly. Yet Ethan Carter simply stared at me for several seconds before abruptly saying, "Thanks, but your warning came too late." He glanced in a direction, and instinctively, I followed his gaze. Not far across the street stood an internet cafe, its entrance already occupied by several figures, some in school uniforms, others not. At the center stood someone wearing our same uniform, a guy with bleached hair, blondie. That shock of yellow was impossible to miss, accentuated by ear piercings and silver chains around his neck and wrists. The very image of a delinquent. When my eyes landed on his face, I froze. Twins share some inexplicable connection. The moment I saw him, I knew exactly who he was. My world collapsed. After 10 years apart, my brother had become Blondie. Then Blondie spoke, sneering. Ethan Carter, didn't you swear off dating in high school to focus on studying? Who's this girl next to you? Guess even honor students are full of hot air. Clearly, Blondie didn't recognize me, but one of his lackeys chimed in. Brother Leo, this Carter guy's just coasting on his grades and looks to trick girls. This one's cute, though nowhere near as hot as Schoolbell Choi. So the model student's dating too? Hey Leo, doesn't this chick kinda look like you? Outwardly, I remained expressionless. Inside, I was numb. Who says we look alike? I hereby unilaterally terminate this sibling relationship. Ethan Carter watched the group approaching from across the way, his expression remaining calm yet impassive, which, by contrast, made him look downright cocky. Seizing the moment, he muttered to me, "This doesn't concern you, classmate, you should leave." It's not entirely unrelated either. I'd rather see what they're up to. Blondie, Leo Evans, my biological brother who had the audacity to be born 5 minutes before me, strode right up to us. That face, which still bore some resemblance to mine, was twisted into the smuggest expression imaginable. He drawled, Well, Ethan Carter, your little girlfriend's got guts, sticking around like this." Before the cornered victim could speak, I crossed my arms and leveled my gaze at him. "What do you want?" Just minutes ago, I'd never have guessed that the infamous brother Leo everyone talked about was actually Leo Evans. My dear blonde brother, seeing me shielding someone else, still hadn't recognized me. Instead, he sneered at the guy beside him. Ethan Carter, hiding behind a girl? Wouldn't want that getting around, would you? Ethan spoke up. "What's this about?" "Nothing much," Leo shrugged. "Just that you rejected my sister yesterday, and today, I catch you cozying up to another girl. Too spineless to admit you're taken. What kind of man does that?" I heard my brother say, "Fine, go apologize to Jessica Cole and tell her you're not good enough for her, and I'll let you off." Just how many sisters does this guy have? No, a clear, youthful voice rang out. Though he wasn't a Blondie type, his presence was undeniable. "You'd rather have the hard way than the easy way, huh?" Leo Evans stepped forward aggressively, but Ethan Carter pointed at the newly installed surveillance camera overhead. "Leo, this camera was just pup. Shouldn't have any glitches. If it catches anything, unflattering, combined with your tardiness, skipping classes, and early departures, expulsion might be on the table." What? Not only did he dye his hair, pierce his ears, and bully classmates, he was also chronically late, skipped school, and left early? His grades must be terrible. What kind of parenting did my dad even do? What was it Mom said before her business trip? Try to bond with your brother. Can we just pretend she only had one child? Leo glared at the shiny new camera, grinding his teeth. "Ethan Carter, I've had enough of you. Back in freshman and sophomore year, you were the hall monitor who logged every damn tardy." "Ethan, got a problem with that?" Sounded like these two had history. "Get lost." Leo waved him off. Done with the conversation, a lackey piped up. "Brother Leo, we just letting this slide?" "What else?" Leo Evans snapped irritably. "Beat him to a pulp, leave him paralyzed, and then we all end up in jail together? You go ahead if that's your thing." At his words, the other party turned to leave, only to be called back after 2 steps. "Ethan Carter, are you even a man? Walking off alone, leaving your partner behind?" That Ethan Carter guy glanced back at me, seemingly pondering something, then asked politely, "Coming with me?" I shook my head, and just like that, he really left. Blondie in front of me shot me a look and grumbled, "What's wrong with y'all's taste? Falling for a guy like that?" I smiled, though my teeth were nearly gritted. "Brother, we made plans to grab dinner together, remember?" No sooner had I spoken than Blondie took a huge step back. "Who the hell are you? You can mess with your food, but not your words. Who's your brother?" Great. Leo Evans looked like he was ready to disown me as a sister too, suppressing what little patience I had left. I pressed on. "Maybe check your phone? You sent me the location and told me to meet you here." One of Leo's lackeys piped up first. "Damn, brother Leo, this chick's here for you, not Ethan's girl." "Shut it. Stop yapping nonsense." Leo barked at them before turning to me. "So, you're the one who added me today? What's your name?" Why don't you check the note in the verification message? I reminded him with a smile. My dear Blondie actually lowered his head to search, muttering after seeing it. Hazel Evans. Who's that? Another lackey chimed in. Damn, brother Leo, your luck with women just keeps coming. This one's no less pretty than Jessica Cole. Leo Evans lifted his gaze to me, and I flashed him a smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. He mumbled my name under his breath twice, as if it rang a bell, but he couldn't quite place it. While his cronies were already buzzing with gossip, Leo suddenly repeated my name several times. Hazel Evans. Hazel Evans. His eyes widened with recognition, and he promptly clamped a hand over his chatty underling's mouth. 10 minutes later, Leo and I sat facing each other in a hot pot joint near campus. He seemed dazed, as if still processing the sudden reappearance of the sister he hadn't seen in 10 years. So, you came specifically for me earlier? Running into Ethan Carter was just coincidence. I nodded. I don't know him. Leo exhaled in relief. That's good. A decade apart had eroded our once close bond. The years stretched between us like a chasm, leaving these fraternal twins near strangers. Only when the food arrived did Leo finally speak again. I didn't know you transferred here. Mom never told me. Mom's away on business. She'll be back soon. Didn't have time to tell you earlier. My household registration is still in Crestwood, so I had to come back for the college entrance exam. I explained. I glanced at Leo Evans, his bleached blonde hair still glaringly out of place. Does Crestwood High School allow dyed hair and ear piercings? The question slipped out before I could stop myself. School regulations say no, Leo replied, but rules don't apply to me. It's just some color on my own scalp. After all, Leo leaned back with a careless shrug. If they actually expelled me, that'd at least make things interesting. Why wouldn't the school expel you? Leo snorted. Old man Evans, my biological father, donated a whole building to the school. Most people don't know we're related, but the principal does. Unless I literally bring the sky crashing down, they won't kick me out. You don't get along with Dad? As long as he's got his precious work, what does he need a son for? Leo said bitterly. Count yourself lucky you never ended up with him. Oh. Since we'd already broached the subject, I pressed further. By the way, did Dad remarry or have more kids? Do we have a little sister or something? That'd explain why he couldn't tell which daughter I was at first. For the first time, Blondie's cocky expression faltered. After a long pause, he muttered awkwardly, No. Just as I was about to say more, Leo abruptly changed the subject. So what grade are you in now? Class 3. Mom said she knew the homeroom teacher there. Some personal connection, so she pulled strings to get me in. All right then, since you've transferred here, come find me in Class 8 if you need anything. I've got your back. Being solemnly promised protection by a blonde delinquent was a first in my life. But then again, this was my own brother. Whatever. I'll endure it. That day's meeting really was just catching up and sharing our histories. I wanted to ask more, like how his relationship with Dad had deteriorated so badly, but Leo Evans refused to elaborate. By the time I transferred, school had already been in session for about 3 weeks. The paperwork kept getting delayed, so my transfer formalities weren't completed in time. My old school kept trying to convince me to stay, but Mom's job required constant relocation these years. Drifting with her meant facing extra hurdles for taking the college entrance exam in another province. Not even a week into the semester, we hit the monthly exams. 3 days of testing left everyone's brains fried. When the results came out, my new deskmate Mia Morgan let out a shrill scream. Hazel Evans, are you some kind of monster? You scored 148 in math. She peeked at the grades in the teacher's office early. Her outburst instantly made the whole class stare at me. Wait, someone in our class got 148 in math. It wasn't until our math teacher stood beaming at the podium to announce my score that the others finally accepted this reality, like waking from a dream. By afternoon, nearly the entire grade had heard about the new transfer student. I stood before the freshly posted honor roll, satisfied to see my name at the very top. Whispers floated behind me. Who's this Hazel Evans? How did she outscore even Ethan? Never heard of her before. Could she have cheated? Nah, I asked around in Class 3. She just transferred here recently. Damn, that good? My gaze dropped to the second place slot. Ethan Carter's name stared back. 2 points shy of mine. Pretty decent scores. Indeed, another voice rose from the crowd's edge. Hey, the monthly exam honor rolls up already. Brother Leo, want to check out? A familiar voice grumbled. What's there to see? Same old faces shuffling ranks. Come on, let's see where little sister Jessica landed this time. I turned and spotted the unmistakable blonde mop at the rear. Leo Evans didn't bother squeezing in for rankings, but his lackey did. Fresh from the crowd, Blondie noticed me. You checking ranks too? What did you score? What place? My dear brother was radiating concern. Brother Leo, Jessica Cole ranked 30th this time. His underling emerged before I could answer. Then came my brother's unbearably proud remark. I have a friend who's quite the academic achiever. I could introduce you sometime. Maybe she could tutor you? Unexpectedly, his lackey piped up with news. Brother Leo, guess what? That bastard Ethan Carter isn't top of the class this time. Some new name took first place. Hazel Evans. Never heard of her before. Oh, so the golden boy finally got dethroned. I watched as my brother ran a hand through his hair, that trademark smirk already forming, until it froze mid-expression. Wait, who did you say got first? The lackey scratched his head, confused. Hazel Evans. Probably a girl? Leo Evans stared at me in disbelief. You? I met his gaze squarely. Me. Then murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw one of the subjects of this gossip appear before the honor roll, glance at it impassively, and turn to leave. Ethan Carter. Leo suddenly called out to him. Ethan turned, his gaze sweeping across us, lingering on me for the briefest second. Something you want? I watched helplessly as my brother flashed his most villainous grin. Well, someone finally snatched first place from you. Know what they say, there's always someone better, huh? He clapped a proud hand on my shoulder, preening like a peacock as he announced, come meet your new competition, the top scorer of this month's exam. And so Ethan Carter's eyes locked onto mine, along with everyone else's. At that moment, I felt like a monkey in the zoo. After walking several steps, Leo Evans tugged at my sleeve from behind. Hazel Evans, it's just people looking at you. Why are you so upset? My little sister topping the class? Hell yeah. That feels amazing. You're new here, so you don't know how insufferable Ethan Carter has been. He's monopolized first place for the first 2 years of high school. I turned to face my blonde-haired older brother with a sardonic smile, suddenly remembering something. You know my grades. What about yours? I didn't see your name on the honor roll just now. The honor roll only shows the top 100 students. Now, it was my turn to show some brotherly concern. Leo's expression froze again. I'd expected Leo to perform poorly, but not this poorly. I stared at his face repeatedly, still unable to believe we were twins. Had I hogged all the nutrients in the womb, stunting his development, but his physique seemed fine. He even towered half a head over me, refusing to accept these results. I took a deep breath after seeing his scores. Starting today, I'm tutoring you. Leo protested vehemently. I refuse tutors even when old man Evans hired them. Don't even think about it. I'm still your big brother. Who are you to boss me around? Just 5 minutes earlier, that's all. We're practically the same. 5 minutes still counts. I gave him a pointed look. You bask in reflected glory when I rank first, but never considered how your last place scores embarrass me? Leo Evans. Regardless of his protests, I drafted a tutoring plan tailored to his level, then ambushed him during his usual school gate loitering hours for study sessions. One day in the restroom, I overheard voices before exiting. Jishua, is it true Leo's been hanging around that new transfer student? You think he likes her? Another girl's voice answered. Who knows with him? Come on, Leo treats you so well. Even after you rejected his confession, he still calls you his adopted sister, gifting cosmetics, designer bags, all those expensive things. If he switches targets, those presents will go to someone else. Word is, that transfer student topped the monthly exam, even beat Ethan Carter. Leo's been showering her with gifts too. The prolonged silence stretched before the girl finally replied. Beginner's luck. Ethan will reclaim first place next time. Seriously, you've got no feelings for Leo? He's handsome and generous. Leo doesn't hold a candle to Ethan Carter. My legs had gone numb from squatting when they finally left. I'd actually heard of one of those too. The girl my buddy Blondie had a crush on. Problem was, She had eyes for Ethan Carter and rejected his confession with a classic, "You're such a nice guy" line. Instead of backing off, he went and made her his adopted sister, showering her with gifts left and right. Anyone with half a brain could see it was still a pursuit. Calling it sibling affection? That'd be laughable. Under the guise of this adopted brother-sister charade, one gave enthusiastically, while the other accepted without a shred of guilt. A textbook case of the willing beating the willing. Pity she wouldn't even spare him a mention in passing. Leo Evans was skipping class again. Not just school. He ditched my tutoring session too. I texted him darkly. Radio silence. My desk mate Mia Morgan kept glancing at me until she finally blurted, "Jean, huh? What exactly is going on between you and Leo?" "Why?" Mia said earnestly. "I'd advise against investing any more thought in him. He's into Jessica Cole from class 1. I just heard he skipped school to prepare a birthday surprise for her." So today was Jessica's birthday. Perfect. Jean, huh? Why are you smiling? Mia sounded uneasy. "It's kind of terrifying." "Nothing." I smiled. During evening self-study, I went to the teacher's office with a physics problem, only to find someone already consulting the teacher ahead of me, and that someone looked familiar. The moment Ethan Carter nodded and said, "I understand now. Thank you," my test paper was already sliding forward. "This problem again? Both of you stuck on the same question?" The physics teacher chuckled. "Ethan, why don't you explain it to Hazel? Consider it a test of your own understanding." "All right." We found a random empty desk in the office, and I pulled up another chair. Ethan's voice rang clear, that crisp, pleasant tone unique to teenage boys. "Got it?" he asked. I nodded, then whispered when no one was looking, "Ethan, do you remember me?" "I do. Hazel Evans. We've met," he said. I couldn't tell whether he meant that time Leo had cornered me or when I beaten him for first place in the monthly exam. Maybe both. "Where do you usually study after class?" "The classroom? Home?" I ventured. "Why do you ask?" "No reason. Just that your physics grades are better than mine. And I'm curious about your study habits." I said frankly, "I'd like to study together, learn from each other, complement our strengths. Would you mind?" "Aren't you?" He seemed to hesitate. "Aren't I what?" "Never mind. Suit yourself." Suit yourself meant yes. I slid my scratch paper toward him with a smile. "How about writing down your contact info? I'll add you later." Ethan Carter studied me for a moment before lowering his gaze to scribble a string of numbers on the paper. "This is my number. Just search this." Leo Evans treated classes and studying like fleeting whims. He'd grown accustomed to that rhythm, standing me up for after-school tutoring with increasing frequency. Sometimes he'd vanish to internet cafes for gaming, other times brawling with local troublemakers, and occasionally, because of Jessica Cole, those hours Leo ghosted me, I devoted them to diligent study sessions with classmate Ethan Carter. To outsiders, Ethan and I became inseparable, huddling over problems between classes, reserving empty classrooms for study dates, our proximity sparking whispers. Truth be told, those problem-solving debates with him often left me with that electrifying lightbulb moment. Call it what you will, kindred spirits recognizing their mirror. When we occasionally shared cafeteria lunches, his friends would exchange knowing glances as we sat together. "They say today's braised pork ribs are decent. Try one." I dropped a piece onto Ethan's tray. He lifted his eyes with that familiar conflicted expression. I arched a brow. "What? I haven't taken a bite yet." "Never mind." A metal tray clattered violently beside us. I turned to meet a pair of blazing eyes. "Hazel Evans, why are you tangled up with him?" Leo Evans asked through gritted teeth. The commotion drew everyone's attention. I motioned for Leo to sit. "You're scaring the classmates." Leo sat stiffly beside me, glaring daggers at Ethan Carter across the table while awaiting my explanation. "You've been busy lately, so Ethan and I have been studying together. Got a problem with that?" I said. "Leo Evans." Across from us, Ethan glanced between us before silently returning to his meal. Just then, another tray clattered down beside him. I looked up and arched an eyebrow. A girl across from Ethan asked softly, "Ethan Carter, mai sitere?" Ethan replied, "Suit yourself." And so Jessica Cole took the seat directly opposite Leo. The school's notorious social butterfly gazed at Ethan with unmistakable shyness and apprehension. Leo made introductions through clenched teeth. "Hazel, This is Jessica Cole, the one I told you about. His tone dripped with irritation, though whether directed at me or Ethan remained unclear. I beamed at her. Hello there, Jessica. Hello, Hazel, she replied. Jessica Cole looked at me with an inscrutable gaze. I heard you've only transferred here less than a month ago, yet you're already so close with my brother and our Class 1 classmates. The brother she referred to as none other than the blonde guy sitting beside me. Why on earth are people fighting over brothers these days? I smiled faintly. What can I say? We just clicked. Ethan Carter, who had been silently devouring his food, suddenly stood up with his tray. I'm done, he announced. Ethan? Jessica instinctively rose when she saw him leave, but hesitated, perhaps remembering Leo, Evans, and me across the table, and sat back down. Leo shoved a new pair of headphones at me, grumbling, I remembered you lost an earpiece. And this is how you repay me, running off with him? I pocketed the $1,000 headphones without remorse and quipped with deliberate sarcasm. Thanks, brother. The girl opposite us suddenly reddened. Brother, you said I was your only sister. Liam Jones told me you bought headphones. I was so excited, but they weren't for me after all. Leo opened his mouth to explain, but his crush was already leaving with tearful eyes. He hurriedly called out, Jessica, don't be upset. If you like them, I'll get you a pair too. But she ignored him and walked away. When he turned to me, I cut him off. Your little sister Jessica's jealous. Go fix it. At dusk, I found Ethan Carter in our usual empty classroom, quietly bent over his homework. Ethan, why aren't you answering my messages? I sidled up to him with a grin. He seemed determined to ignore me at first, but eventually looked up and calmly accused. You used me. Now, between scholars, let's not call it using. I propped my chin on my hand beside him. Haven't we been getting along splendidly lately? Complementing each other's strengths. Making progress together? Ethan glanced out the window. Leo Evans is here. No sooner had he spoken than my blonde brother swaggered in with study materials. This was expected, though we'd only recently reconnected. My brother was transparent, easy to predict, viewing Ethan as both romantic rival and nemesis. How could he stand by while his little sister grew closer to him? Whenever Ethan and I were together, this after-school tutoring became mandatory attendance for Blondie. Thought you were tutoring me? Leo made no effort to hide his hostility toward Ethan. I'm here now. Send him away. No. Why not? Leo's gaze pinned us both. Me, this isn't private property. He has every right to be here. You can't just kick people out. Leo, then we'll leave. No, I plopped back down. I prefer staying with him. Ethan. Leo Evans shot me a look of exasperated disappointment, plopped down on a chair beside me with visible irritation, and proceeded to glare daggers at Ethan Carter, his piercing stare practically willing the other boy to vanish into thin air. Yet Ethan remained unfazed, utterly ignoring him. During a break, when Leo was working on practice problems, I went to discuss the final exam's bonus question with Ethan. Leo grumbled. Discussing problems is one thing, but why are you two sitting so close? Ethan gave him a frosty glance. Feel free to take my place. My poor brother peeked at the problem and blurted out, Isn't this a math test? Why does it look like an English exam? I patted his shoulder sympathetically, hit the books harder. Just as I'd planned, Leo, paranoid I'd fall prey to Ethan's influence, doggedly hovered over me whenever possible, and through sheer persistence, I managed to drill those concepts into his head. Even his lackeys started complaining he'd gone MIA on them. One late October afternoon, Ethan got called away by a teacher, leaving the empty classroom to just Leo and me. He theatrically sighed. With certain people gone, the air's so much fresher. The next second, a stern voice barked from the doorway. Which class are you from? What's an unchaperoned boy and girl doing here alone? I froze, turning to see the dean of students glowering at us. At the same moment, the dean of students clearly saw my brothers and my face. He practically exploded. Leo Evans, you again. It was hard to imagine, one day, my own brother and I would get caught by the dean under suspicion of puppy love. Inside the office, Leo Evans and I stood side by side. Leo, accustomed to being reprimanded, remained unfazed. He glanced at me and said, Dean, we weren't dating, we were studying. This is my sister. Your sister? The dean pointed at me and snapped, "Since when do you have a sister this big? Don't think I don't know you. You go around calling everyone your little brothers and sisters. I've got complaint letters piled on my desk." Still denying it? Complaint letters? Leo froze. Then he saw the envelope on the dean's desk, along with the photos tucked inside. They were of Leo and me. In the pictures, we looked intimate, arms slung over each other's shoulders. Evidence doesn't lie. Still playing dumb? The dean refused to believe a word we said. Leo had always been the type to drape himself over people. Normally, it wouldn't matter. I was his actual sister, but now it had landed us in the dean's office. I lifted my gaze and fixed him with a withering look. The dean's furious voice rang in my ears. "This is utterly unacceptable. We're calling your parents." Leo Evans wore the expression of a dead pig, fearing no scalding water. As the dean of students contacted our homeroom teachers, he scoffed under his breath. "Old man Evans is never home anyway. If they can drag him here, I'll eat my hat." Funny coincidence. Our dear MS. Ye is busy too. When the dean got both parents' numbers from our teachers, he called MS. Ye first. True to form. She was out of town and couldn't make it. Then came the other call. The dean emphasized the severity of the situation with theatrical urgency, just as Leo remained convinced our father wouldn't show. When the voice on the line replied, "Understood. I'll be there shortly." Leo froze. So did I. Rumors about Leo and me being caught in a teenage romance spread like wildfire during the wait. Soon enough, an uninvited guest appeared in the dean's office. Ethan Carter. He strode straight to the dean. "Sir, I study with Hazel Evans and Leo regularly. I can vouch they're not dating." Even a top student's testimony lost its weight now. The dean waved him off. "Stop covering for them. This doesn't concern you. Get back to class." Other gossip-hungry students lurked by the doorway, but dared not approach. They lingered until the evening self-study bell forced their reluctant retreat. Ethan stayed. He stubbornly insisted on being our witness. His academic prestige shielded him from reprimand. The teachers and dean merely sighed in resignation. Finally, a figure in a tailored suit appeared at the office doorway. The tall man carried himself with undeniable presence as he entered, though Leo Evans beside him merely snorted in response. I lifted my gaze. The image of a father had grown hazy in my memory. His separation from my mother hadn't involved any moral failings, just two stubborn people refusing to bend their visions of the future. As their child, I had no right to judge either. Yet the role of a biological father had been absent for years in my life, just as the role of a mother had been absent for years in Leo's. The old man Evans Leo often mentioned didn't look old at all. If anything, he was a distinguished, handsome middle-aged man. Considering both Leo and I turn out decent-looking, I supposed we owed that much to our parents. "Dean, I'm Lawrence Evans, Leo's father." The dean of students finally pounced. "Mr. Evans, at last, I've been meaning to schedule this meeting about Leo's behavior." The dyed hair and earrings I could dismiss as self-expression, but he's a senior now, carrying on with the top-ranked girl in his grade. As the words spilled out, Lawrence's gaze swept toward me. Our eyes met, and for a fleeting moment, I glimpsed the father who'd once carried me on his shoulders, the man who'd lifted both his sons high to see the world from greater heights. "Dad," I called out. The surroundings suddenly fell silent, including the dean of students who had been relentlessly lodging complaints. After a moment, he looked at me. "Miss Evans, who are you addressing?" Leo Evans jerked his chin toward his father beside him. "Him. Let me introduce you. Hazel Evans, my fraternal twin sister, born to the same parents." The farce finally came to an end when Lawrence Evans acknowledged having another daughter. Leo Evans finally seemed justified as he stared at the dean. "Dean, what's the problem with my sister tutoring me?" "Dean, none." The dean's eyes still swept sharply across my face and Leo's, as if trying desperately to spot similarities. In the end, he found there were indeed some. Leo pressed on, snatching up the anonymous complaint letter from the dean's desk to scrutinize it. Let me see which bastard had nothing better to do than report me. The letter contained only a single line, revealing nothing, but the attached photo told a different story. I was indeed wearing the school uniform, but Leo rarely bothered with his. Judging by his outfit in the photo, it must have been taken 2 days prior. Ethan Carter had actually been there that day, though he seemed to have been cropped out of the photo. Leo and I were taken out for a meal. Seated in a private room, we buried ourselves in the food the moment it arrived. A scrutinizing gaze hovered above me, my biological father's. He seemed to be comparing his parenting results with his ex-wife's, then pinched the bridge of his nose and closed his eyes peacefully. Jean, huh? Where's your mother? Dad asked. Mom's still on a business trip. She'll be back in a few days. These years, have you and your mother been doing all right? We're fine. Leo Evans twitched his lips. Color me shocked, Mr. Evans actually came in person instead of sending his assistant. The father and son regarded each other with mutual distaste. Leo Evans, dye that mop of yours back to black before speaking to me. I think it looks cool. Don't let your outdated boomer taste lecture us Gen Z about individuality. Right, little sis? I glanced at his blonde hair, the dark roots showing through, making it look even more subculture. Couldn't bear to look. Today was just a simple reunion, meeting my biological father after 10 years. By the time I returned to school, rumors had spread about Leo Evans and I being caught for puppy love, yet both walking away unscathed from the dean's office. Mia Morgan came to verify. So, true or false? Obviously false. No puppy love means no punishment. Even if I were to date someone, it wouldn't be him. Then, why were you giving him after-class tutoring? I cupped her face, earnestly. Look at me carefully. What's wrong? My desk mate still sounded clueless. She looks pretty good to me. Do I look like him? I asked. My desk mate froze momentarily. Now that you mention it, you two do share some resemblance. Distant cousins, maybe? We're fraternal twins. What? Mia Morgan reacted with exaggerated disbelief. No way. You two are nothing alike. Same genes can produce completely different children. Just goes to show how much environment matters. Aside from Leo Evans and me, only the dean of students, our homeroom teachers, and Ethan Carter knew about that day's incident. None of them were gossips, so the story never spread. Leo remained bitter about whoever had reported him. Want to know who snitched? I asked him. Hell yes. Blondie gritted his teeth. I'll teach that bastard why roses are red. Got plans tonight? I inquired. Leo immediately went on alert, clasping his hands pleadingly. Come on, sis. No studying tonight. It's the weekend. I promised Jessica Cole. She bombed midterms and needs to unwind before grades drop. Just a small get-together. You really like her that much? Ugh, what do you know about love? I deadpanned. I know all about unrequited crushes. You. Let me tag along, will you? You're already hosting this gathering. What's wrong with your little sister mooching off it? When I walked into the private room with Leo Evans, the atmosphere froze for a split second before someone immediately teased. Brother Leo, since when do you bring girls along? Who's this? Jessica Cole sat quietly in the corner, but before she could speak, her friend snapped. Leo Evans, wasn't this supposed to cheer Jessica up? Why'd you invite some other girl? Leo replied, this is Hazel Evans, just here to join the fun. We'd agreed beforehand. Tonight, our relationship stayed unmentioned. Wait, isn't she the top student? Damn, Leo, you've got game. My brother kicked the speaker mid-sentence. Shut your trap. If I catch you thinking that crap, I'll beat you senseless. I just smiled and greeted the group. Across the room, Jessica and her friend whispered among themselves while Leo deliberately placed orange juice in front of me, warning the others, she doesn't drink. As he reached for the liquor to pour himself a glass, I cleared my throat pointedly. Leo Evans. He set the bottle down without a word. Someone grabbed the party game from the shelf. How about truth or dare? Top student. You in? Another challenged. No backing out. Losers drink. Leo cut in. She'll play. If she loses, I'll take her drinks. Another round of teasing erupted around us. Across from me, Jessica Cole's expression had visibly darkened, yet she still joined the game. The rules were simple. Spin the bottle. Jessica spun first, since this gathering was technically for her. The bottle wobbled to a stop, pointing directly at me. I arched an eyebrow as the spectators erupted in exaggerated cheers. Jessica smiled tightly. Art then, hand over your phone. I'll pick one chat from your WeChat. We'll pass it around. Just messages from the past week. I raised my brow. Privacy invasion. Huh? I slid my phone across. I couldn't tell whose messages Jessica had originally intended to see. But at that exact moment, a new notification popped up. Her face paled before she reflexively tapped it. It was from Ethan Carter. I watched them scrutinize my screen. Jessica's smile cracked. "Ethan's asking you out tomorrow? For what?" "Wait, Ethan asked you out?" Someone beside me reacted even more dramatically. I knew that guy was up to something. I smirked. That counts as a separate question. When the game finally circled back to me, I weighed the bottle in my hand, gave it an indifferent spin, and watched it land unerringly on Jessica. The crowd's jeering intensified. I smiled at her. "How about this? I'd like to browse Jessica's photo album too. Just the past weeks. No sharing. Deal." Jessica didn't grasp what game I was playing, but handed over her phone anyway. "Go ahead," she said. She was confident there was nothing incriminating to find. A quick scroll showed mostly selfies, but my moral compass had never been needle-sharp. Under everyone's gaze, my fingers flew straight to her recently deleted folder. One glance. Target locked. Tap. The next second, I shoved the screen toward my not exactly brilliant brother. "Well, didn't you want to know who reported us?" There it was, the damning photo of Leo and me that got us reported. Except this version showed Ethan Carter in the uncropped background. Jessica finally understood my play. "Too late, Hazel," she shrieked. "You cheated." I scoffed. These were deleted recently, but still taken within the week. How's that cheating? Besides, cheating's the least of your problems now. Care to explain this? Beside me, Leo went rigid. His expression cycled from disbelief to icy fury. Jessica lunged to reclaim her phone. Seeing Leo's face, she stammered, "Wait, Leo, let me explain." Leo Evans lowered his gaze at her. "So, you're the one who took photos of me with Hazel Evans, printed them out, and planted them in the dean of students' office?" The others instantly sensed something amiss upon hearing this. Leo's blunt underling blurted out, "No way, Jessica Cole, was it you? Brother Leo's been so good to you. How could you pull something like this?" "Yeah, why?" I chimed in, fanning the flames. "Even if the romance didn't work out, all those gifts at least made you friends. Not to mention you kept calling him Brother Leo. Is this how you treat your adopted sister? And you deliberately cropped Ethan Carter out of the photos, afraid he'd get dragged into this?" My tone was anything but pleasant. Then she snapped at me. "Because of you, you're stringing Ethan along while leading Leo on. Why do they both orbit around you?" Now, this was interesting. I smirked. "What's wrong? You can play games, but others can't?" Mission accomplished. I turned to my idiot brother. "I'm heading out. Handle the rest." I'd walked a good distance before realizing Blondie had silently followed me. "I'll walk you back." I arched a brow. "Not staying to comfort your weeping adopted sister?" After a long pause, Leo finally said, "I always knew her intentions weren't pure, but when you like someone, you just want them happy. You don't stop chasing them just because their heart belongs to someone else." My Blondie brother's manifesto. The girl he likes doesn't need to be some perfect saint. Then why did you walk away? I didn't mind being good to her, giving her gifts, or even that she liked someone else. I thought we were at least friends, but if she could report me out of jealousy, she never saw me as one. I'm nobody's fool. I was at a loss for words. My brother playing the pure-hearted lover with that ridiculous blonde mop. The entire way back, Leo Evans radiated that particular brand of post-heartbreak gloom. As we finally reached my place, he suddenly remembered. "What did Ethan Carter want with you anyway? He's no saint either. Keep your distance." Of course, with a sister cozying up to his arch-rival, even wallowing in misery was a luxury he couldn't afford. Guess. Huh? Hazel Evans. What's that supposed to mean? Ethan and I simply had academic matters to discuss. We're meeting Sunday at the bookstore to research some problems, though now there's an extra person tagging along. Ethan Carter eyed Leo Evans trailing behind me like a suspicious watchdog. "Your brother." "What, only you two get to be studious?" Leo grumbled, radiating displeasure. I shook my head at Ethan. "Bad mood. Don't provoke him." Ethan. Studying with Ethan did wonders for my efficiency. When midterms came, I still held the top spot. Thank goodness for Chinese literature. When other subjects couldn't create much distance between scores, this was what made me stand out. Leo Evans, with his signature blonde streaks, sneered. Ethan Carter, You're not all that either. Even my little sister scored higher than you. Ethan gave him a flat look. You barely scraped 400 points. What exactly are you proud of? I climbed nearly 100 ranks while you stayed stagnant. Leo shot back. Enough. Come here and review this problem. I cut in. Leo, if you mess up basic questions like this again, don't tell anyone I tutored you. It's embarrassing. During the remaining months of senior year, gossip still floated around about Jessica Cole coming to apologize to my brother. Once, while chatting with Ethan by the railing, I glanced down and saw a couple tangled in a heated argument. Both looked familiar. The guy's blonde streaks made him unmistakable. Ethan followed my gaze. Your brother's quite the ladies' man. I side-eyed him. Wrong. That's your admirer. Don't know her. Ethan had an impeccable memory. No way he'd forget a classmate. This was deliberate ignorance. Mom finally wrapped up her work and rushed back to see her son. Though they'd met before, her schedule had been too packed to learn about his past decade. Mother and son reunited, tears glistening, then promptly bonded over trashing their ex-husband and father. Mom even complimented Leo's blonde streaks. Now that's stylish. Leo Evans. I knew there were still people in this world who could appreciate my taste. As for my mom, well, let's just say she'd think I looked good, even if I were draped in a floral pattern quilt and cotton padded trousers. So taste is actually hereditary? As for why Leo and our father have such a strained relationship, that's a historical issue. When he was little, Dad was too busy with work and left him with nannies. One of them had ulterior motives. She wanted to climb into the employer's bed, so she deliberately mistreated Leo, or made him sick to force Dad to come home. When my brother acted out back then, Dad just assumed he was throwing tantrums because he was afraid of getting a stepmother. By the time they realized something was wrong with the nanny, fired her, and took her to court, it was already too late. The rift between father and son had formed. Over the years, both Dad and Mom have had relationships, but they never remarried. Mostly because of us kids. Those adult problems aren't my business, and whether Leo reconciles with our father is his own affair. But if he flunks the college entrance exam, that's my problem. To be fair, old man Evans did say he could send me abroad if I didn't get into college. Leo claims he's not really interested. Though, I deadpanned, you'd still need to take IELTS or TOEFL for studying abroad. Have you even started learning English? At least Leo seems teachable. Later, when I couldn't make it to the empty classroom in time, I noticed Ethan Carter was willing to explain problems to Leo too. I have to admit, it warmed my heart a little. I had previously asked Ethan Carter about his feud with Leo Evans. Ethan fell silent for a moment before explaining they'd been classmates freshman year. Back then, Ethan served as a disciplinary monitor, recording tardy students at the school gate. He never once let Leo off the hook, and thus earned himself a permanent enemy. Especially after the girl he liked later developed feelings for his arch-rival. When Class 8's homeroom teacher came chatting with ours, they couldn't contain their delight about their problem student's transformation. Throughout senior year, Ethan and I engaged in bloody academic warfare for the top ranking. Every exam ended either in a narrow victory or heartbreaking defeat. Meanwhile, Leo's grades showed steady improvement. After word got out about the three of us studying in that empty classroom after school and on weekends, other students began joining us, occasionally stopping by to ask questions. The abandoned classroom soon buzzed with activity. What surprised me was how completely Leo and Jessica Cole had severed ties. They'd even deleted each other's contact information. Jessica seemed to be struggling, her academic performance fluctuating wildly, but Leo's scores climbed from the 300s to the 400s. Eventually breaking 500 by second semester of senior year. He even reformed his bad habits. No more skipping classes or leaving early. I couldn't have been prouder. Maybe I should consider going into education after this, open a tutoring center or something. During New Year's, Leo Evans changed his hair color from blonde to an ice-searing blue, which promptly got him hauled into the dean of students' office. Though the lecture changed nothing, my dad wired me a sizable sum, calling it pocket money. When I told Leo about it, he snorted coldly. No kidding, he sent my share to you too. Now, I'm supposed to ask you for spending money. Leo ranted. Does he think I've survived this long without savings? Trying to make you my keeper, as if I wouldn't just ask Mom if he cuts me off. I asked, want me to split it with you? Leo, yeah. He hatched a scheme. Tell him the money's not enough. He'll send more. You just aced first place. He won't say no. During idle chatter, Ethan Carter brought up college plans. What schools are you applying to? That depends entirely on my scores. June arrived in a blink, and Leo showed up for exams with his hair dyed black. When I first saw him, I almost didn't recognize him. Mia Morgan marveled. Your brother's looks were sabotaged by those hair colors. Black suits him. Now you two actually look like siblings. The 3-day exams passed in a flash. I slept like the dead at home, only to wake and find Leo sprawled on the couch. He said, got drunk at last night's class party, got too excited after going home, and opened a few bottles from Old Man Evan's prize collection. I'm here to lay low. How filial of you. My parents gave me travel money for summer break. Leo Evans, Ethan Carter, Mia Morgan, and I planned a graduation trip. Leo Evans protested. Inviting your desk mate is one thing, but why him? Ethan Carter retorted, I did teach you after all. Once a teacher, forever. Before he could finish, Leo grabbed him. Pa, have you no shame? Think I won't actually hit you? The journey was filled with such bickering all the way from south to north, yet remained wonderfully vibrant. Results came out while we were still traveling. Mia Morgan had been nervous since last night, so we found a restaurant to settle in at the appointed hour, planning to check scores over lunch. Please don't let me have bombed this. What'll I do if I can't get into college? Mia prayed with clasped hands. None of us had much appetite either. Leo stared at his phone and sked. Guess I'll have to study abroad if I failed. Such shameless flexing made Mia's fists clench. Finally, the scores loaded. Mia covered her mouth at the numbers. 642. I'm safe. Leo hissed through his teeth, delivering the most casual bombshell. Only 578. Huh. This guy jumped from 300-something to 578 in senior year, and still had the audacity to humble brag. Only Ethan Carter's and my results remained stubbornly unrefreshed. When the page finally loaded, the word shielded flashed across our screens. Holy crap, you're both shielded students. Mia Morgan practically vibrated with excitement. Leo Evans whipped out his phone to photograph my screen. Just wait, I'm gonna milk Old Man Evans dry with these scores later. My phone rang the next second. Hello, Hazel Evans? This is Bridgewater University admissions. No sooner had I hung up than Ethan's phone began ringing. That day, our phones never stopped buzzing with calls from various admissions offices. When the notification confirmed me as state top scorer, I bear hugged everyone present in succession. Reaching Ethan, I couldn't suppress a laugh. Sorry, I outscored you again this time. He smiled back. Congratulations. Leo threw a fit beside us. Hell no. How long you gonna cling like that? Get a room. Mia yanked his sleeve. Back off, bro. Don't you dare break up my OTP. We suspended our trip the next morning, booking immediate flights back for admissions meetings. Crestwood High School finally had its redemption arc. With both state top scorer and second place scorer from their campus, even local news crews joined the swarm of admissions officers. The college application frenzy eventually settled into surreal stillness, like dust after a sandstorm. Scrolling through my phone, I saw Leo Evans' social media post featuring my exam results with the caption, "My state top scorer, little sister." Both Dad and Mom had liked it. Soon after, Dad posted his own update titled, "The Kid's College Entrance Exam Results." The difference was, he'd included Leo's scores too. Mom had posted hers even earlier. The same day, the results came out. All her friends were praising her parenting skills in the comments. Leo called me grumbling. Tell me Old Man Evans did that on purpose. Why post my scores compared to yours? I'm over 100 points behind. How embarrassing is that? I chuckled. Want me to ask Dad to post your first term senior year grades alongside your final scores? Let people see how impressively you improved. Then Old Man Evans' phone would explode with calls from parents whose kids haven't taken exams yet, all demanding which cram school I attended or which tutor I hired. Ha 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 ha. Well, remember to thank Ethan Carter too. He tutored you as well. Leo made a dismissive sound. Yeah. That evening, he sent me a screenshot of his chat with Ethan. After Leo's awkwardly phrased gratitude, Ethan replied minutes later, "No need. It was my pleasure." Leo's next message arrived instantly. What does that mean? What does he mean? Leo ended up securing admission to a decent university through supplementary offers. Mia Morgan also got into her dream university. As for Ethan Carter and me, we ended up at the same school again, different majors, though we still saw each other fairly often, just like senior year. On free afternoons, we'd study together in the library, him with his subjects, me with mine. Even with different specialties, we could still occasionally debate topics outside class. One day, I suddenly remembered something and asked him with a smile, "You know, if I hadn't transferred back then, you would have been the state top scorer." Ethan seemed to have grown taller after the college entrance exam. Looking down at me, he suddenly grinned. "That wouldn't do. If you hadn't transferred back, who would have played the heroic damsel when your brother ambushed me on the road? You know perfectly well he wouldn't actually hit you." Before I could finish, Ethan continued, "Then he might really start throwing punches soon." His eyes curved like crescent moons, galaxies swirling in them as he stared straight at me. My hand was captured in his, fingers slowly interlacing. "If he does hit me, will my heroine still come to the rescue?" That handsome face drew closer until my defenses crumbled completely. Probably. Those siblings, a decade apart, demanded gradual reconnection. "Dummy, just date this scheming man casually. Don't fall for him. Don't be fooled by that face." Me, big bro, what if I'm already fooled? Leo Evans, Hazel Evans, where's your self-control? Gone. Don't worry, big brother. I'm just pretending to be completely smitten by him. This is all part of my plan. I'm moving at my own pace.